Hello, my name is Wade Demura, and this is Rotary Serving Our Community. Recently, I had the opportunity and actually was asked to join HANWASH. HANWASH is a project that we're doing in Haiti to bring water to the entire country. With that, I would first like to start off with getting this from the expert, the person who is actually involved with starting this up. So I have a video here of Barry Rassin, past international president, that we shot with him when I was in Hamburg, Germany. With that, let's go ahead and take a look at the video.
Hi, this is Barry Rassin, President of Rotary International, and I am so pleased to be here today to talk to you about an amazing program in Haiti that Rotary has started. It's called HANWASH, and it's HANWASH because we want to bring water and sanitation to every citizen in Haiti. To do that, we're first making sure that we've mapped the entire country so we know what the needs are of every citizen. And every commune or community is a little different, so everyone has different needs. We're looking for Rotarians, Rotary clubs, districts around the world to become champions of any one of those communes that have not already got a champion for them, so that we know that you can help us with advocacy, with donors, but also with global grants and your own district funds to help us to bring water and sanitation to every single person. And keep in mind, this is a program that brings together all of the agencies that are bringing water to Haiti. This is bringing together the government of Haiti. This is a totally cooperative and coordinated effort to address all water and sanitation needs in the country. We're going to do something unique here. We're going to create a model that the rest of the world is going to be able to adopt so we can solve water problems around the world. I need you. I need you to come and help us. I need you to come here and champion any one of these communes. I need you to advocate so we can get big sponsors, the corporations and other governments, to make this happen. We could change the country. We could bring them to the position they should be in so every citizen there is proud that they now have fresh water, which helps them with their health needs, helps them even with education, because now they have water and sanitation. I ask you, please help us with this significant and transformative project to change the country of Haiti. We need your help. I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
You can see why I couldn't say no to an ask like that. Barry is very passionate about this project. And on the show today, we also have two other people that I've been working with. We have John Smarge and we have Jeremy Hurst. Both of them have been working with me on this one, and welcome both of you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us, Wade.
Thank
Pleasure.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Three of us have been working hard together. By the way, they talk to us as if, I hate to say this on the team and the committee, but you know, sometimes we're treated as the Three Stooges with this group, but that's not the case. We can get a lot of work done. Jeremy, I'm going to start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I originally, as you may be able to tell, not from the Cayman Islands, where I'm currently based, but originally from the UK. I came out to the Caribbean for a very short-term contract in 1987-88 and became my home. I very quickly realized that in the Caribbean in particular, and I'm sure many other places in the world, but Rotary International played a very important part in the communities there. Became involved in the club locally, became its president, and eventually ended up as the district governor for one of the Rotary districts. We have 535 districts across the Rotary world in almost 200 countries. And my district is a very unusual one. It's the Northern English, French, and Dutch-speaking Caribbean. So in 2013-14, I had the opportunity to travel around 16 islands and 10 countries outside my home of the Cayman Islands. And one of them was Haiti. Left an absolutely indelible mark in me, and that's why I'm sitting here today as part of the Three Stooges. I'm not sure if I'm Curly or Mo, but...
Thank you. And how did you get involved with Rotary?
The absolute truth was I was press ganged in. I had really not much interest in Rotary until I got to the Cayman Islands, and I was asked to go once, asked to go a second time by my employer at the time in the Cayman Islands, and the third time I was picked up by the scruff of the neck and taken there. But I can tell you the experience that I had in those early meetings and what I found there was something that's lasted the whole of my life and changed my life and changed the direction that my life has gone in for the better, much for the better. And I now have the honor and pleasure of about to become a Rotary International Director on the 2022-24 Rotary International Board. So I'm deeply involved, and it's a very important part of my life. Yeah.
Well, congratulations to you, and we look forward to your leadership on that one. John, I'm going to come to you next. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, Wade. I live in Naples, Florida, across the country. I've been a member of the Rotary Club of Naples now for 39 years.
Wow.
It was 39 years. And I think the question you'll ask me, and I'll answer it before you get a chance, of why Rotary. A gentleman in town, I was a doctor, was helping me out after a car accident. And he invited me to come to Rotary. Now, I had never even heard of Rotary when I came to that first meeting. But I looked around the room and I saw all the movers and shakers from the community in the room. And I said to myself, I want to be a part of it. And like Jeremy, you sort of just get involved with stuff and it just becomes a part of who you are. And Dr. Phil Smith is the guy who proposed me. And I asked him about 25 or 30 years ago, after 25 or 35 years after he brought me in, why did you bring me in? What did you see? And he said, you know what, John, at that time, it wasn't what I thought you could do for Rotary. It's what I thought Rotary could do for you in the way it could help you and develop you professionally. And it has done a tremendous amount for me. And I pledged that I will spend my lifetime returning back to Rotary what Rotary gave to me. So that's what I spend my days, morning till night, just like Jeremy, sort of a Rotary geek who has just bitten this thing off and said, I want to get back.
Outstanding. Thank you there, John, for sharing that with us. This project that we're going to talk about, I think the best way to present it is by visually seeing actually what you're doing out there. So let's go ahead, JP, and we'll switch over to the PowerPoint so we can actually see what's going on in Haiti itself. Okay, I believe, Jeremy, take it away from here.
Thanks so much, Wade, and it's a pleasure to be here and have this opportunity to talk about something that all three of us are absolutely passionate about. And I'm sure you're looking at this slide now that shows hands in front of a faucet. You know, that's something we might do if we're gardening or if we're outside by the beach somewhere, but it's not the regular way that we obtain water in the Western world, in Caribbean typically as well. But in Haiti, this is the normal way of obtaining water through a faucet, through a hand pump, through a spring. Much of the rural population relies upon that source of water, as opposed to having a faucet in your home, or many faucets in the homes as we have. And more than that, and more even bigger challenge than that, and if you go to the next slide, you'll see, unfortunately, how many of these hand pumps that I mentioned, which are the normal method of providing water in Haiti, end up after 5 years. It really is a situation where there's been up to now no sustainable solution to providing clean drinking water to the people of Haiti. In fact, as you can see from that slide, over 50% of these pumps, these wells, these water sources are either polluted, dangerous to drink, or just downright broken. And that lack of sustainability is the major challenge, not only in Haiti, but in most of the developing world. In addition to that, the water systems that do exist, the systems like we experience in our urban areas, in all of our areas in the Western world, many of them don't function. Systems that were working prior to the 2010 earthquake in Haiti were damaged beyond repair. Those that were repaired have substantial leaks. One analysis we did of a water system, one of our early projects showed that 80% of the water that was entering the system was lost through leaks in the ground. So that's just a picture, a snapshot of the systems, the infrastructure in Haiti. So if you go to the next slide, I'll sort of contrast what we do, which is go to the water faucet, or we go to the cooler and the fridge, and we put a glass there, and we take a beautiful glass of water, fresh, clean, crisp, maybe cooled and chilled. The photograph you see on the right there is one was taken when John and I and the team were in Haiti a couple of years ago, just before the COVID outbreak in February 2020. It was actually taken by one of our Haitian members of our team, of which there are many, on the ground in Haiti through our 20-plus Rotary clubs. The member of the Rotary Club of Liagan took this photograph, and it's a young lady who doesn't have it quite so easy as we do. And this is absolutely typical of what happens here. And the water kiosk at the end of her street was damaged in the 2010 earthquake, which as its epicenter actually was in Liagan, where this photograph was taken. So it hasn't worked since that time. Instead, she hikes 20 minutes over a spring, to a spring over a rough terrain, and 20 minutes back again, absolutely barefoot, struggling with a heavy 5-gallon container to bring water to her family twice a day. Parents would love to send her to school, but she's 14 years old, but her father's sick. Most of the time, the sickness is caused by drinking polluted water. And she needs to stay at home and cook and look after her little brother and children, and of course, fetch water. So we were told by the photographer, who is a Rotarian friend of ours, that not too long before this photograph was taken, he spoke to her. She was accosted and on her way to get the water, because water is a valuable asset in Haiti. And she was actually had the water stolen. And but she said she was a lucky one, because the year before, a young lady, a friend of hers, had been similar circumstances, had been raped and beaten as the water was stolen. So terrible, terrifying situations for young people in those circumstances. But it may sound crazy, but she's actually one of the lucky ones, because I mentioned that she has to travel 20 minutes to get water. But over 70% of the people of Haiti actually have to go for 30 minutes before they will find a clean water source, or any water source, away from their residence. In rural villages where most patients reside, only 1 in 4 have access to toilet facilities. In fact, 2 out of the 11 million population are forced to regularly practice open-air defecation, which is something that we can't even imagine in the lives that we have. And as a result of that, waterborne illnesses such as typhoid, cholera, dehydration, through chronic diarrhea account for 50% of the deaths in Haiti. And this is the unfortunate reality of many of the citizens of Haiti, and many of the citizens of my Rotary district today. So we're going to talk to you about what HANWASH is doing on the ground, and really what it's doing is providing sort of revenue positive, community-based, locally led and permanent solutions to Haiti's water and sanitation problems. So that's our goal. It's a multi-billion-dollar, multi-decade program. It's been called a big, hairy, audacious goal, and I think that best describes it. It absolutely is. It's one that we've been working on now since 2017, 2018, and we're starting with pilot programs and working towards developing those. And John's going to touch on the details of those a little bit later about how we do it. But I want to touch now on another area which is important as well, because in relation to water and sanitation and what we're providing here with HANWASH, it's not just helping the water and sanitation challenges in Haiti. HANWASH really will become a sort of a rising tide that floats all boats. If you go to the next slide, I'll show you what I mean. So this is an aerial shot, and you can probably recognize here some of the challenges that you see in Haiti. You've got two sides to the shot. You've got it actually shows the border between Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and guess which side is Haiti? Unfortunately, it's the heavily deforested side in the light green. So if you go to the next slide, you can look at a close-up of the deforested hillside, and you can see the eroded earth, bare rock, making even terrace agriculture, which is normal in Haiti, impossible. And the removal of the trees and vegetation have created ideal circumstances for immediate water runoff during storms, causing catastrophic flash flooding, and with the power to wipe out whole villages downstream. Believe me, I've seen it. Whole villages just decimated when these waters come from the hillsides. So the interesting thing, where have all the trees gone? And how does this relate to HANWASH? Well, most of them, if you go to the next slide, you can see were turned into charcoal. It's a fuel source. And as a result of the various fuel embargoes, and simply due to the fact that many of the rural inhabitants of Haiti are so poor they can't afford to pay for regular fuel, they simply have been cutting down the trees to use the wood to create charcoal as a fuel. So again, why does this link to HANWASH? Well, a significant percentage of the charcoal that's been created from cut down trees is used to boil the water, the unclean water that is taken from these wells. And HANWASH is providing the solution for the people of Haiti with clean water. So they won't need the fuel to that degree anymore. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see exactly what I mean. This is the standard thing that happens to water as it's taken out of wells, because the people don't trust that they're getting a clean, safe solution when it comes to their drinking water. So, as I said, Rotary here, working alongside HANWASH, has the ability to float not only the boat of making sure clean, safe water is available, but we're also doing something environmentally sustainable. And in fact, what we're doing here is what we call planting water, working alongside the Rotary Action Group for Environmental Sustainability, working alongside the Ministry of Environment in Haiti, the Haitian government. They're a very important partner to us. Our philosophy is that if we're going to reap water from the ground with our various HANWASH projects and programs, it's our responsibility to maintain the sustainability of the HANWASH program by planting water. That's the term we're using, planting water wherever we can. And we're doing that through a collaborative reforestation program, starting where one of our pilot projects exists in Cavaillon. And the goal is to replenish the aquifers that we're drawing our water from. So essentially what we're doing is not only with HANWASH creating a solution for water and sanitation and hygiene, but we're also creating an environmentally friendly and sustainable solution at the same time. And that touches another number of areas, the economy, education, health. HANWASH can be a solution to all of these areas. And so I think, John, I think you're going to sort of dive in more and tell us a bit more about the granular goals and solutions that HANWASH is bringing to the table.
Jeremy, thank you. I think you would agree with me that Jeremy has laid out a very plausible reason why. All the issues that you can hear about in Haiti. Now, Wade has invited us to speak to you through television, but Jeremy and I also go out and talk to Rotarians and others in person. And so now would be the time I would ask you the question of, so what do you think? You've heard Jeremy talk about this. What do you think? What most people tell me is, you know what, John, that sounds really good. But why? Why you? Why Rotary? Why, after decades of throwing money into Haiti? And you've heard about that, right? You've heard about throwing money away into Haiti. Why do you think you can do what others have failed to do? We battle the idea of toxic charity, where our actions very often hurt the country of Haiti more than it helps. So the big picture here is that Haiti's government has been unable to devote the fiscal resources and has lacked the capacity to enforce its role as the regulator of the sector. And so that's, on a big picture, that's where HANWASH comes in. What we are really is an umbrella. We are providing a vision, and we're bringing together those people in the world who want to fund water and sanitation projects. We're bringing together the government themselves, and we're bringing other nonprofits who specialize in delivery of water systems. And together, we're not tackling this just in a little piece, but we're tackling this as an entire nation building. And we're also mobilizing the communes, the 144 communes, through our local Rotary clubs. Now, in the next slide, you see a map of Haiti, and you see within those probably are 7 pilot communes working in. We work with a lot of large donors, and it's interesting, one of them is USAID. We call a conversation with USAID, and they asked us point blank, why do your wells that you build succeed? Why, after years of building these wells, they're still pumping? And why does everyone else fail? And the reason being is civil society engagement. We've got 22 Rotary clubs and 14 Rotaract clubs. And we have across the pond in North America, primarily champion districts who are coming together. We don't build these programs or projects outside the country. We're building them within the country. We're using our local on-the-ground professionals and local citizens to drive this thing. Now, if you go to the next slide, you'll see a bunch of dots. And Barry Rassin alluded to it in the beginning video that he talked about. We are using a systematic, technical-driven approach to gathering current data through community assessments, and then we create local, socially driven solutions that result in a community action plan. The first thing happens is with this gathering of data. We are going community by community, walking around the community with nothing more than a cell phone. On the cell phone, we have an app called MWater. We might have a young person or an adult walk up to a water source. It might be a cistern, it might be a pump, or it might just be a stream on the side of the street. And they walk up and they press a button, and on their MWater app, through global digital tracking, it records the exact coordinates of where they're standing. They then go and they push a button to see if the water works or not. If they pump the well and the well water comes out, they hit as functioning. They then get a test kit out and see if it's E. coli poison. If it's good, they mark it off, or if it's bad, they hit red. We do this well by well, water source by water source, community by community. We are determining a baseline that we can now know across the country of Haiti what the problem is. We now know where we are, and of course we know where we want to go to. This is an amazing circumstance. Now, if you go to the next slide, you'll see one of our local Rotarians, Dr. Robert Leger, next to a solar panel at one of our wells. We do things differently than everybody else does in the way in which they do grants within the country of Haiti. Now, whenever you give money to a charity, you of course want them to spend it as efficiently as possible. That means they need to spend as little money as possible. So whenever we devise a water program in a community, the first thing you have to do is get an engineer to do an engineering study of the community. So what most people do is they go to the United States or Canada, they get some engineer who will go down to Haiti for free and do the engineering study. Well, at the same time, we've got engineers graduating from college in Haiti, and they can't find a job because they can't compete with free. So what we're doing is we're taking those engineer graduates and we're doing a program with them to teach them how, through a mentoring program, to actually effectively deliver the services needed to the communities. So no longer are we working with using outside engineers. We use the people of Haiti. In fact, everything that we do, when we buy when we connect services or professionals, we're using the country of Haiti to do that. If you see the next slide, there's something more. And again, Barry mentioned it in the beginning. We're not giving water away for free. We are having a pay-for-service system. We believe for us to have true development and sustainability in the country of Haiti, we have to have local buy-in. And that's why we're successful, because the people themselves are paying. Now, my goodness, we get some Christian-based charities who say, you can't make them pay for water. Our systems, for 70 cents per month, can provide water to an entire family. 70 cents is the cost of a Coca-Cola in Haiti. Yet we're able to provide water. And when we do that and they pay for it, they buy into it and they believe about our sustainability. The next slide. One of our most advanced communes right now, and the one that's almost complete to delivery, is the commune of Pillon. One of the things that we've done just recently is we're converting the diesel fire generator pumps to solar water pumps. All of our source from this point on will be solar. But one of the things that we found in Pillon was that they have about a 70% loss of water each day. What does that mean? When they pump 25,000 gallons of water, they're only getting paid for about 4,000 of them. And so in the commune of Pillon, we're putting in district metered areas and leak detection so that we can finally have the first commune in the country of Haiti that's running in the black as far as collecting funds. And another area, if you go to the next slide, is the commune of Ferrier. Ferrier is in the northeast area of Haiti, right on the border of Dominican Republic. They have a huge degree of saltwater ground infiltration into their aquifer. So effectively, there's an area of about 1,000 households that has access to no potable water. So what do? A water truck comes to town, and for 50 cents, they buy a 5-gallon bucket of water to bathe in. For $1, they buy a 5-gallon bucket to drink from. I just mentioned to you, in our water systems, for 70 cents a month, the family gets water, but they're paying $1 for a 5-gallon gallon bucket to drink from. But most of them don't do that because they can't afford it. Most of them will cross over, as Jeremy mentioned, young girls, most often are women, cross over in the dark of night into the Dominican Republic. And they'll pull water out of cattle troughs to carry back to their home. I don't know about you, but I don't like to think I can live in a world where people have to drink from cattle troughs. Something has to be done, and HANWASH is doing it. And so the next slide, if you go to, Jeremy mentioned, this is a big, hairy, audacious goal, truly. But I'm telling you, no one but Rotary has the track record, has the bandwidth, has the stick-to-itness to make this thing happen. And we're going to be doing it. I don't know, it'll probably be done in 30 years, probably be done well after I'm long gone. But once we do this, it's going to serve as a blueprint that we can use across the world for other developing nations to show how we can take the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere and provide water to each and every citizen in that community. Now, Jeremy, I'm going to just throw it to you, even though I didn't say I would to. I want you to summarize. Tell me how you feel, about this goal, if you would.
John, I think you've reflected how many of us feel, and I think the main word is passionate. But it's not passionate in the sense that we're hoping for something that's just hoped for, just an aspirational goal. You know, what really has struck me over the past 5 years since we initiated the program is the quality of the team we've been able to put together, Rotarians and other partners, not just within Haiti, but certainly tremendous talent from in Haiti, but also from across the Rotary world. As champion districts you mentioned. The quality of the individuals, both amateur and professionals that have come on board, that sit on our steering committee meetings every Wednesday morning. I know you had one this morning, unfortunately I wasn't there. Make me believe and know, in fact, that we are going in the right direction to truly make this happen. And so this is not just hope. This is not just unfounded hope. This is knowledge that I feel and believe and know that, as you say, it may not be you and I, but at some point in time, the Rotary clubs in Haiti, Rotarians around the world, in 20, 30 years' time, will be able to say, these guys did the right thing. These guys put a structure together, put a team together, put a program together that changed the world, that changed this nation, and made a difference for every man, woman, and child in Haiti forever. And that, I think, is what I feel about this program.
Thank you both for an outstanding presentation, for all the hard work you're doing. This is HANWASH, literally, is going to be changing the world, not only in Haiti, but this model will be replicated around the rest of the world, making sure that everybody and everywhere in this world will have safe drinking water, along with the other impacts that we talked about during this show. Again, John, Jeremy, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate that. The rest of you, we'll see you all next time. For you two, we will see you next week. Thank you very much for joining us. Stay tuned for future shows, and please take a look at what HANWASH is doing.